Healer, medium, and author Blanca Beyar welcomes her newest book, Male Divine, Hide No More, to her long list of publications.
I was told that there would be a trilogy and that one would feed into the next as far as, I guess, the evolution of where we are right now in this paradigm.
When you're getting inspiration for these books, how is it coming to you?
It comes through meditation. It comes when I connect. I believe that, among the many hats that I wear, that I'm a holder, a key holder to many fields here, as well as many people. I mean, it's just not me, but I'm aware that I hold many fields. And so it's almost like a channel that I have within my consciousness. I feel that when I do mediumship work, it sort of works the same way. It's almost like an internal channel that I connect to that opens the portal to connect to the afterlife. And I also have a portal where I receive insight about, it's almost like an updated roster, if you may, of what I'm supposed to be working on, and that's where I get the inspiration for my books, for my workshops, for a lot of the mystery teaching classes. I really don't, I of my own don't really make up my mind and say I'm going to have a mystery, teachings class, or I'm going to write a book. It really does come to me through divine inspiration.
Everything in our reality is shifting, and therefore, naturally, the male-female role has to shift along with it.
Absolutely. I think that many of us, we all uniquely have unique roles. And I would agree with you that many of us are probably, writers, channelers, speakers, and the likes, maybe focusing on the new paradigm, what's, in front of us or around the corner. And yet I also believe that there's ones that prophesize, and go maybe talking and writing about, how this whole evolutional dimension is going to be in 10 years from now, I actually have a few colleagues that actually operate in that same fashion. They're like 10 or 20 years ahead, ethically. And they sort of almost live in the future, if you may, I think I'm, as far as my own divine insight, I think I'm usually, around the corner. And that means like within, this time span to like maybe the next year or so.
Are you specifically gearing it towards men?
I love that question, and I'm so glad you're asking. And, after I wrote the book and I released it, it has had a slow, response. And very unlike Female Divine, Hurt No More. And I'm wondering, one of the first things I thought of is, do women feel that it's not a book they should read because it's called Male Divine? And sort of almost like saying like, wow, I hope that's not the case, because I think it's a book that's very vital to be read by both the female and the masculine, why for the female? So that she can identify, and almost solidify if a male divine is hiding, a partner, a significant other, and also to hold a field, for the male divine to come out of hiding. In reading the book, they will have an understanding of some of the many reasons why a masculine may hide. And when we have an understanding, then we could be proactive, right, in supporting and in inviting, someone to come out of whatever situation or experience they're in. And so I think that in that respect, it could be very helpful for the feminists to read it. As far as the male divine, well, of course, we definitely hope that they will read it. But I think that what's going to happen is that many female divines are going to read it and then pass it on to a partner.
This should, in some way, also help the relationships between a male and a female, and especially the fact that we're changing so much, like I said before, and this should help the change in the relationships that we intend to embark on.
Absolutely. And you know what? I think that that's where many of the females who are in a relationship may read it and say, like, wow, my masculine divine partner may benefit from reading this, especially if she identifies that he may be hiding in certain of the, personality traits that I share in the book. And so that's what I'm saying. I think that many female partners may actually read it and then, turn it over to their partner and say, I think we can benefit as a divine couple from you reading this.
What are you hoping that will that they would come away with after reading it, if they're going to, share the information, and how do you think that will help them?
Miriam, I love you because you always ask amazing questions. I cannot explain to you. And, as an author, I think that every book that we author and release is like a baby, I mean, we love our babies equally, right? Um, and so they're all special, but I cannot tell you the energetic importance of this book. And the reason why I say that is because if we look over the last couple of decades, we've realized that the female divine has begun to heal and to rise, to claim her empowerment, right? To declare herself, to embrace herself. And she's also ascended to, incredibly. And why the book becomes so very important is because the book is an invitation for the masculine to realize that this new paradigm is about divine alignment. And as such, the female has risen over the last, decades, actually over the last centuries, over the last millennia, right? And it is time in order to bring balance into the feminine and masculine field, and also to bring completion to the cycle. It is time for the masculine to also rise, ascend, and come out of hiding. In this way, those words could almost be synonymous. You know, and it is pivotal for the paradigm that we are experiencing at this moment. So it's not really just about this is not about relationships, although at a minuscule level it is. On a much broader, expansive, it is about the experience of the new paradigm, and how bringing those two fields together is going to help to hold the field for the unification of humanity.
What do you see as being some of the major, I guess, areas that might be changed, or what needs to be changed in this new paradigm that we're in?
Mhm. I think that one of the major areas that could be changed when the masculine decides to stop hiding is that everything is going to flow with a much smoother fluidity and acceleration. And the reason is because when there's an imbalance, right, there's not a smooth flow. And so there's a struggle, there's a conflict, it's just not a fluid movement of anything. And I mean anything, meaning manifestation, action, uh, creation, anything. And so once uh, the masculine or the cycle is completed and now it's in alignment, the fluidity of our evolution of this dimension, of this paradigm, and of consciousness is going to accelerate. And again, that's why this is so important. I almost feel like when I when when I have the awareness, and of course, for someone to just look at the book, it could be taken as relationships, or even a reflection of the masculine, maybe even a criticism. And uh, and I'm glad I'm having the opportunity to do shows like this, because no, this is so much more expansive.
we're heading into a world where people want to seek out the truth and to understand what's out there.
I think that, the new paradigm that we find ourselves in is going to be very revealing as far as who we are spiritually as divine souls. And I think that many are beginning to tap into that higher aspect. This paradigm is about telepathic, about recognizing that we're multidimensional, that we really truly are limitless, that we have multiple realities, that we are true manifestors. And I think that that many of us have learned that throughout our journey in bits and pieces, um, through our own development and whatever we have tapped into, knowledge, teachers, and what's been available. But this new paradigm, okay, it's almost like going from 110 to 220 volts, The energetic frequency and the field is now supporting that acceleration, you know and so we are going to begin to tap into things. And so the real question is, I love your question, but the question is are we ready? Because the energetic environment is ready. And I believe that what needs to happen next is that we need to become collectively and individually ready to be able to harness these energies as a collective. We've been programmed and conditioned, influenced, to believe that we're limited in some ways, and of course we have to take into account that there's been a great evolution. And so, is it the critical mass? Well, I love to say that, but I don't think it's quite there yet. There was a critical mass that allowed the the harnessing of the fifth dimension, yes. But of course, there's so many other billions of souls that are still exploring this, still trying to understand it, still trying to develop, and still kind of living in two different paradigms, with the old influences of the 3D, and existing in a 5D, because we are in a 5D environment.
It's hard to understand that in our concept of our reality. So how do we sense that, and how do we know the difference between the two?
I love to use analogies to take it away for a moment from right, this undescribable, expansive subject that we're talking about, right, and take it to something simple. We're born as infants, and of course, we go through a process of growth, right? We become toddlers, and then we become, kindergartens, and then we become teens, and then teenagers, and, young adults, and then we become elders, right? Well, everything in this existence is constantly growing and expanding. And that includes all every planet, every star, the universe, and all that exists is always growing. And so when we say 3D, right, and now 5D, it's because the Earth takes that same, journey of growth. It's just that it took a lot longer, of course, if we can place time on it, to evolve from a third, to a fourth, and then to a fifth dimension. But if we look at anything around us, even the most simplistic things, you plant a seed, and it becomes a flower, or it becomes a tree, right? And then it gives birth to fruit, and it continues, right? Even though it may dry up, it will grow again. And so I don't know if that makes it simpler to understand, but everything is always growing. Our whole existence is about constant growth.
So it's like another level of growth. That's basically what we're talking about. Another level of understanding our reality.
Absolutely. It's just reaching another level of remembrance, actually.
Please visit mquestmedia.com, where you can find articles, special events, and our monthly internet radio show Hidden Mysteries with my co-host, Reverend Maria D'Andrea.